All right, good evening, everyone. We're here for the May 8th, 2023 Board of Selectmen meeting, and our first selectman, Wendy Maxtutis, is a little under the weather, so I am Amber Abiel, your Deputy First Selectman, and I'll be sitting in for Wendy tonight. So let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand if you're able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we will start with a public hearing. This is a required public hearing that we set last meeting on April the 17th regarding proposed amendment that we are making to our town code, chapter 141-30, regarding allowing tax credits for the elderly and totally disabled related to sewer fees, the same as we do for tax abatement. Is there anybody here to speak to this issue at this public hearing? Is there anybody here to speak to this issue at the public hearing? Is there anybody here to speak to this issue? Hearing none.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I would entertain a motion at this time to amend the agenda to move up selection action item I, proposed amendments to the tax credit for elderly relief, to this point in the meeting so that we could address these issues at the same time.
Move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. So now we will, as soon as I get to the right
It's down pretty far.
spot, it is down pretty far in our, it was the last item. Oh my goodness.
Page 59.
How many pages shows up on ours?
Oh my goodness.
59.
Here
one?
we are. Yeah. All right. So, in September 28th of 2022, the Water Pollution Control Authority meeting, the board agreed to authorize the implementation of elderly relief for sewer use fees as allowed under our Connecticut state statutes. The proposed changes would allow the WCPA to approve these adjustments to sewer use billing to provide affordability to eligible elderly customers. We set, like I said, the public hearing for tonight from our April 17th, 2023 meeting, where we did hear from both Tom Roy and Tony from the WCPA regarding these changes. We have the proposed amendment included in our packet, which is chapter 141-30. And we had discussed this previously. I don't know if there's any questions or further discussion that the board would like to have. Hearing none, I am going to assume that we want to take action on this item. So I would move effective May 8th, 2023 to adopt the proposed amendments to the tax credit for elderly relief, Chapter 141, as presented, which shall be effective 21 days after publication in a newspaper having circulation within the town of Simsbury. Further move to authorize a summary of the adopted ordinance be published.
Move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? The motion carries. So now we can move to the public audience portion. Do we have anybody here to speak at public audience? Joan, please go to the podium. You will have 5 minutes to speak.
Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive.
Town Manager Maria Capriola is no longer Simsbury's town manager, leaving with a record of failed leadership. In transition, there will be several interim town managers until a permanent position is filled. On May 1st, 2023, the Board of Selectmen chose Chief Bolter to guide the town until Lee Erdman, a qualified town manager, can take over the position on June 1st, 2023 as interim town manager. Chief Bolter is the wrong person to assume the position with a failing record as Chief of Police in Simsbury, interim town manager. It is alleged that when Police Commission was in the process of choosing a chief, Commissioner Mike Long was instrumental in choosing Chief Bolter as Chief Ingvarts's replacement when he retired in 2018, ignoring other qualified candidates. It is alleged that Commissioner Long is the force behind Chief Bolter's decisions. Commissioner Long has become the shadow chief and has been given the passcode to enter the police department at will. Chief Bolter is aware that Mike Long's car does not have a front license plate, giving Mike Long a pass on state law violation. It is alleged that Commissioner Mike Long orchestrated not having public audience at the police commission meetings and was concerned about televised commission meetings. Are we now going to have a dual leadership with Chief Bolter and Commissioner Long as the interim town manager? On May 16, 2023, the taxpayers are being asked to vote on the budget with an increased 5.18% increase with a mill rate of $31.82. This year, we're experiencing an unusual increase in property values, and the assessment of properties have been applied in what appears to be arbitrary and capricious. The assessor's office has 4 full-time employees and 2 contractual employees, an unusual increase for the department. What has been the cost-benefit analysis by adding more employees? With 2 assessments for the same property, leaves one to believe that there are issues with the values placed on the properties. One could suggest that by increasing assessments, leading to an increase in taxes, gives the budgeting entities more slush money for the special project interest groups, leading to the passage of the increased spending budget while increasing the electability of the elected candidates. The town should enact zero-based budgeting. Zero-based budgeting is a method of budgeting that starts each department's budget at zero and requires each line of expenses to be justified. It is time Simsbury residents to form a taxpayers group of knowledgeable people who challenge the elected officials and inform the public of the town's spending collected of revenue and taxes. Grand list increased 2.5%, much less than the proposed budget. The budget referendum 22-23 is a comparison. The Board of Selectmen, $30,260,354, now $31,679, not $397, a $1.5 million addition. Board of Education, $76,456, $785, now $81,076,437, $5 million addition. And capital, et cetera, $18,117, $555, $17,149. The town's spending is out of control. This out-of-control spending will be the demise of Simsbury, with business failing, apartments with unaffordable rents, and residents moving to states with lower taxes or migration to other towns. There are 28 homes in foreclosure in Simsbury on the judicial website. The businesses that can afford to challenge the town's assessment policy to have deep pockets, others will choose close their businesses. Owners of commercial establishments will go bankrupt, unable to pass the increase to their clients or sell property at a loss. It is alleged that one business owner had a $2 million assessment on his property that was reduced on a threat of a lawsuit to $1 million. How can a property value be greatly reduced on a threat of a lawsuit? The taxpayers of Simsbury experience inflation with everyday expenditures and having to do with less, but the elected officials are clueless on how to choose between need and greed. The budget is presented for a vote should be voted down. A no vote would bring the budget back for review and lower taxes. Financial pressures, in addition to families, experience serious tensions leading to breakup of family structure. Many people are using drugs to self-medicate their feelings of anxiety and depression. Drugs in the home are readily available to the children, giving them access to mind-altering drugs. With families in crisis, the schools have to deal with the students' mental health that affects their learning. Gambling addiction for adults and students are increasing, causing financial stress. The elected officials should use their influence to promote treatment centers that are readily available and affordable. All of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Twitter at Joan Co, and Facebook. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jen. Do we have anybody else that would like to speak at public audience? Lori? And you have 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Lori Boyko from 15 Oakhurst Road. I want to start out by saying that I don't know what's going to come out in my voice. I'm a little bit angry and I'm a little bit defeated, and I don't know what tone is going to come out in this at this point. I did not want to come here tonight. I didn't want to be here because I wanted to spend time with my son, who's in town for just a few days, who I have literally seen twice in the last year, because that's all I can afford for flights. But I'm here because I'm so distressed at what is going on in town that absolutely no one seems to see or care. The government spending in this town is irresponsible. As elected officials, we the people, the residents of Simsbury, the electors who vote you into office, entrusted you to spend our money wisely, to be good stewards of what we are each contributing to the public good. We effectively handed you a blank check and said, make it out for what you want. We trust you to take care and be responsible. I can assure you we didn't mean create a wish list and go on a spending spree. Every dollar you spend that comes out of our pockets means something we don't have to spend for our own well-being, for the care of our families. I'm sure you don't think you went on a spending spree. And I watched and listened as you gave consideration to various budget items. I've attended finance meetings, Board of Ed meetings, zoning meetings, youth services advisory board meetings, and even DEI housing meetings. And it seems like you all care about things like affordability in this town. What concerns me is that you are so focused on creating diversity and inclusion that you are excluding the people right in front of you, the people who entrusted you to run our government. I am one of those people. This year, my income, because I'm on commission and it's not been a great year, falls within the affordable housing parameters. But my taxes, my personal property taxes, are going up well into 4 figures, thousands. I will have a 35% increase as a result of this budget. Our town budget is going up over 5%, but that's on $100 million. That's not on my personal property taxes, which is over 35%. While discussing that budget, Sean Askham mentioned not needing to discuss some line item further because it would only be a difference of about $10 or $11 per taxpayer. It wasn't worth the time to discuss. Every line item is just $1 or $2 or $10 for each of us, and each $10 adds up to $100 more, or in my case, thousands of more dollars. This town is not made up of only executives who can readily afford more. There are many people just like me who can't. If it isn't worth your time to discuss, then I respectfully request you step down and let someone take the seat who feels it is worth the time. I'm trying to figure out how to pay $1,500 for an ambulance ride I needed. And rather than fund another ambulance, the town is paying $2 million to refurbish the Flower Bridge, completely ignoring a potential $750,000 National Parks grant I found in 10 minutes on my phone while sitting at one of these meetings that would cut the cost nearly in half. Thankfully, I don't need the food pantry yet because from the looks of the requests I'm seeing, it's very sparsely stocked. While we don't have enough food for those truly in need, we have a social services staff of over 7 employees, including a newly created position who does event planning with my tax dollars for magicians and reptile meet and greets and intergenerational drag show bingo. I'd just like to have enough money to take my child to the movies instead of giving it to you to decide my entertainment. Thank you.
Lori?
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here for public audience? All right, hearing none, then I would like at this time to quickly ask for a motion to amend our agenda. We were notified of a grant application that is related to the community farm that we need to take up tonight. So would somebody care to make propose an amendment to add this as Selectman Action Item J, and when we get to that point of the meeting, Mr. Roy will be able to speak to this item.
Move that.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or nays? So we will add this as Selectman Action I or J. And then now let's move on to the presentation part of our meeting, which we have a presentation right now from our Aging and Disability Commission Age-Friendly Survey results. We have Jan Beatty and Diana Yaisley joining us to talk about the results of the survey that we did in town. I think it was last summer around this time. So ladies, please take it away.
Do you want to do an intro?
Sure, thank you. Hi, my name is Diana Yaisley. I am the chair of the Aging and Disability Commission. And this is Jan Beatty, who's one of the commission members as part of the Aging and Disability Commission for the town of Simsbury. Last summer, beginning last May, we debuted the Aging Well in Simsbury survey targeting seniors in the town of Simsbury. The survey was open for several months over the summer, and we closed it in September. And we had some really interesting results, and we are here to present the findings that we have. I think we're going to start with a little bit of a background.
Yep. Do you want to move to the next slide, please? So this should look familiar to some of you. This came from, by way of our senior center. It's from the Healthy Aging Data Reports. But this tells you a little bit about the aging population of Simsbury. And it actually corresponds pretty well with what we found in our survey. In August, and I'll give you a little bit more background, in August of 2019, the town of Simsbury became the 329th community in the country and only the 4th in Connecticut to sign on to the multi-year process of becoming an AARP age-friendly community. So there are now 750 communities nationwide with 6 other Connecticut communities that are signing on to this initiative. And Cheshire and Fairfield are the latest to sign on. Next slide, please. So I'll tell you a little bit about the AARP Network of Age-Friendly Communities. It's an affiliate of the World Health Organization's program, and that is an international effort that was launched in 2006 to help cities prepare for rapid population aging. The World Health Organization has identified these 8 domains of livability that influence the health and quality of life of older adults: outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, social participation, respect and social inclusion, work and civic participation, communication and information, and community and health services. So we are now at that point where, as part of step 2 in the process, this was after we had established a preliminary board of community partners willing to advise and assist in all stages, we began to do a baseline assessment of the town's age friendliness. And what we decided to do was members of the Aging and Disability Commission constructed a 36-question survey. If you want to move ahead, thank you. So the survey was worked on by all of members of the Aging and Disability Commission. It was, as Diana noted, it was rolled out on July 12th, when we had an open forum at Eno Memorial Hall that was also attended by some of the, by Wendy Maxtudis, as well as Tia Murphy, who is the state president of the AARP. And others spoke then about the benefits of belonging to the network of age-friendly communities. So the survey was offered both online and in hard copies, available through numerous locations throughout town, including the senior center, the library, the annual police picnic. Survey responses were sought via media postings in the senior center newsletter, as well as several hundred were delivered to the Housing Authority, Belden Senior Community, One West Street Senior Community, the library, and the town hall. So other media postings included the Farmington Valley Press, Simsbury Patch, and on social media, including Facebook groups and pages that were town and Simsbury oriented. So notifications of the survey's availability also went to McLean Anthology and Ojakian Commons. So the survey was initially closed September 1st, 2022. A quick review indicated that fewer than 70 responses were from those under age 60. So in an effort to reach more respondents under 60, the survey was posted again on media, and announcements were made at Aging and Disability and Board of Selectmen meetings. Only a few more responses, unfortunately, were received from those under 60, and the survey was then closed September 15th, 2022. So a total of 674 responses were received. And as you can see, that's slightly more than the Simsbury population. It reflects slightly more than 11% of the 65-plus population of Simsbury, about 8% of Simsbury's total population older than 50, and less than 4% of the population 54 to 65. So next slide, please. So these are the demographics that that we found in our survey responses. 67%, we were using postal codes here. So 67% had a Simsbury postal code, 15% Weetog, 11% West Simsbury, and 6% Terriffill. 68% have lived in town more than 20 years. 72% identified as female. 71% were 65 or older. 68% were retired, and 31% lived alone. Next slide. These were some of our notable responses. Of the total respondents, 61% said it was either extremely or very important for them to remain in Simsbury, with another 29% saying it was somewhat important. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, how would you rate Simsbury as a place for people to live as they age? We had 26% who gave it a 5, 37% gave it a 4. Of the domains of living assessed, most felt respected as an older person, 88%, but almost 32% wanted to be more social, and 40% said they would like to be more involved in the community. Most, 79%, said it wasn't difficult to learn about community events. And the other thing that was interesting was as unpaid caregivers for adult loved ones, 29% envisioned a future need compared to 13% now providing that care.
Can I jump in with a
Sure.
question? Is that okay?
Happy to answer questions.
On the percentage of seniors who said that they wanted to be more social, does it get into the barriers that they perceived
Yes.
to doing that? Then I'll
Yes.
be quiet and let you get there.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
I can
And
tell you a lot. Yes, go ahead.
it's obvious to everyone else in this room but me what the last bullet means. But could that potentially mean essentially if they had their spouse or significant other, is that who they're addressing most likely, or is it someone?
It could be, that's a combination question. The envisioning future needs for as unpaid caregivers, it could be either a spouse caring for their spouse that may have some future medical needs, or a child caring for their adult parents who then may need to live with them as caregivers.
So it goes other way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or there are parents who have aging people with disabilities living with them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So the need for unpaid caregivers, people envision that need is going up, is increasing.
And as far as the barriers go, a lot of it had to do with transportation, you know, that they didn't feel that they could get out and about. Specifically, we didn't follow up with that question, which is why you're going to see our next step is going to be to do focus groups to really get into some of these things. But let me go on to some of the next question, the next slide, please.
You got that, yeah.
Yeah. The options for what they need, what is needed. This was, they were given specifics. So this is a response to things that they were given, not an open-ended question. 22% said sidewalks and trails that are accessible and in good condition is needed. 21% said more affordable housing is needed. 20% said separate pathways for bicycles and pedestrians is needed. 18% said well-maintained public buildings, library, senior center, town hall, et cetera, was needed. And another 16% said additional transportation options were needed.
What's fascinating to me is you look at these 5 choices and there's absolutely no consensus.
Right.
No.
Exactly. Exactly. There were, I think, 8 options that were given to them. So
okay.
these were the top.
Was a I don't mean to be leading, maybe it's the next slide, but was the topic of a senior center, did it have its own set of sub-questions or
It did not have its own set of sub-questions. However, it was brought up a few times in a write-in, and when we get there, there was things that are working and things that are not working, and people had the opportunity to answer. And you'll see we have a answer bubble coming up, and you'll see that it is on there. And it wasn't always necessarily the top, but it was definitely as part of an important conversation.
What were the other options offered on here, out of curiosity?
Let me see if I have that.
Do we have the
again.
survey?
Yeah. I have the. Oops, sorry.
We have a lot of data.
We do. We have bunches of data.
Sometimes it can be too confusing. Too much data can be confusing.
Where is it?
Doesn't allow you to make it as drive forward.
What is needed?
Yeah.
Yep. We had more family activities, outdoor exercise stations, fewer family activities, reduced public spending, care for mental emotional needs. These were only one response each for those. More trash receptacles, more emails from town organizations. These were not. The biggest ones were sidewalks and trails, separate pathways, well-maintained public buildings, additional transportation options. The others, those were in the hundreds. The others were all under 10.
Yeah.
Could you only pick one?
responses. I'm sorry?
Could you only pick one?
No.
No, you could pick
multiple?
whatever
You could pick
wanted.
however many as you wanted.
Okay.
Interesting.
But we had, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different options for people to choose from. But these are the ones that got well into the majority of the responses. The rest of them, as we mentioned, had under 10 responses each.
Sorry to keep delaying you. But, was the question presented about do you access? I know. Do you access the existing presumed senior center?
Well, we had to be careful because understanding that this survey, well, we're not targeting specifically about the senior center, and this was about the 8 livable domains that AARP wants us to answer to qualify for the age friendly
Community.
designation.
Sure, yeah.
So
And the
we
reason
had
why
to
I'm-
be careful not to try to direct answers that we were looking for and needed to be able to ask the questions within that livable domain.
Yeah, and the reason why on that thread, why I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but the
We always go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, so as I think about we're gathering information about not only are we looking for this designation to a certain,
Yes, right.
we're also gathering information about kind of like what the type of community we want to be.
Correct.
I think, right? Is that a fair statement?
Correct,
Because you're looking for a designation, that means you want a label, a brand, a market, whatever it you want. You want to make sure you're. So I think, and I'm thinking to myself, when you use the terminology, the kind of community you want to be,
Correct.
It's because you're on a journey. You're not yet fulfilled. You're trying to be something that you want to be a better person, a better community, whichever it may be. And I'm curious, does the community of the future and the way that folks want to experience their community as a senior, does it also include a senior center? Is that part of the envisionment or not? And I'm trying, so that's, I guess.
We will talk about it for sure. I think it's part of the overall larger picture of things, but there are other things that they would like to see in town as well.
That helps. Thank you. I'll stop.
And if I can, it might help to see the rest of these and then ask questions. It's only a few more slides.
I promise you, I'm done.
For now.
For now. For now, Chief.
So we did ask an open-ended answer to we asked them two questions, what is working and what is not working. So these were the open-ended answers to what is working, and those were the things that came up more often than not. Safety, community, friendly atmosphere, library, parks, open spaces, activities and recreation, restaurants, town services, the beauty of the town, the location. What's not working is next.
There you go.
Transportation, taxes, affordability, single-level housing, development, traffic, senior center facilities, lack of diversity, inclusivity. Okay, so that is, and then we have this lovely little word cloud that I'm not sure you can see terribly well, but this just incorporates everybody's answer to that question. And it is not weighted, so you're not seeing the words that pop out. It's just everything.
We have, yes, we did have one that was weighted, but there was a typo in it, so we didn't use it. But we could go back and get this weighted and share that with you, so you could see the words pop out when they're weighted as to what the most popular answers were.
Yeah.
As you're driving to the focus groups, there's an inherent conflict in this, right? Because if you go back one slide, the two T's, right? The first T costs money, the second T is the money.
Correct.
Right, and then the affordability, right? So
yes,
it's always the juxtaposition we deal with. So when you get into that, is there an opportunity to rank in terms of prioritization? Because I appreciate that, it was open-ended before, but
right.
On the 20% and everything else, if people get to pick everything,
yes,
it waters down the value of the data, right? So you've got to, much like the exercise we do when we decide on spending, we prioritize.
Correct. We're going to talk about our next steps.
Okay.
Can move forward.
We can move forward. There we go.
Okay.
There's our next steps, Sean.
So,
thank you for the segue.
Try to help once in a while.
So the next step is to, first of all, we need to create an action plan. And in order to create that action plan, we do need to have some focus groups that will drill down a little farther so that we get some of those, some things that will rise to the top, And that's one of the things, I had a long conversation with the state president of AARP, and she said, it's amazing how focus groups will sometimes clarify what you think you may know from these surveys is not always
what you really know.
What you really know. So that's the next thing. We recommitment of the town leadership, because as I said, this was first formed in we had, it was 2019 when we had the first commitment, and they do want the town leadership to sign on. That makes good sense. So right now, our application status is on hold because it's important to them that we have a letter of commitment signed by the community's highest officials. So as soon as that happens, we can become active again. And what we want to do is to create a subcommittee to look into the best practices for creating and conducting focus groups that will get us to that information.
Right. So due to the position we're in for the town currently with an interim town manager, we put this AARP application on hold pending. We did not know if the Board of Selectmen and leadership felt that an interim town manager would be somebody who would want to sign off on our action plan. So without moving forward with an action plan, our focus groups are on hold as well, pending where we are with town leadership. However, we felt that it was really important that we spent last summer doing the survey. We spent the fall and the winter months gathering all the information about the survey. We didn't want the community to be sitting on the results of the survey. We felt that it was prudent to be presenting this to the Board of Selectmen, being able to post it on our town website and present the information to the town members and our community members, especially those who took the survey and may want to know, well, what happened with the survey. So we want to assure people that we are not just sitting on the answers. They are on hold right now, pending where we move forward with our focus groups, which will then lead to our action plan. But we wanted to make sure that the town and everybody knew the information that we gathered and that it is something that is important for us and to look at, because then we will be passing it along to town leadership and other town commissions to hopefully work into part of their action plans.
I feel like what you've shared with us tonight is really important, and I think what you get out of the focus groups will probably be even more important, because it will be hopefully the actionable things that can inform Board of Selectmen priorities, and then ultimately, how our town allocates our tax dollars. Is there anything any direction that we can provide tonight that allows you to move forward with the focus groups?
I think right now the reason, again, why the focus groups are on hold is the town manager being in an interim position, and we weren't sure if we should move forward at this point with the focus groups until we had a town manager in place. Now, so the commission members voted last time not to form our subcommittees, because that would then be the actionable item to create our focus groups. If the Board of Selectmen would like us to move forward at this point with an interim town manager, knowing that the action plan is going to take a while to move forward with our focus groups, then that's an action we take back to the commission and say, okay, we have the direction to keep moving forward with our focus groups and get them done this summer or this early fall, so that we can move forward with an action plan in the beginning of 2024. I'm forgetting what year it is.
So just to clarify, what is the role of the town manager and staff in the action?
So in the action plan must be signed off on by the town manager and the board and the first selectman of the town, making a commitment to the action plan that we would then have as part of an application to AARP. And we can share with you other action plans that other towns have done. They're very, very, very involved.
Does AARP know that without the six of us, neither one of them's signature means anything?
Well, there is that as well.
We are a legislative body for a reason.
Yes. We, again, just felt at the time we didn't want to start moving forward without having a discussion.
Okay.
We didn't want to make...
Actually, the town manager is not running the focus groups.
No.
The staff is not running the focus groups.
No.
Okay.
That would be the subcommittee. That would be the Aging and Disability Commission subcommittee, and myself and Jan.
Because we would vote to authorize the town manager to sign, is how it would happen. Right. I mean, traditionally that's our practice. Right. So.
We just again didn't.
In my opinion, as long as staff doesn't have concerns about the resources of the focus groups, which it sounds like it's not going to take staff resources, then my thought is let's keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. And the focus, the work that would be done by the focus groups has already been developed.
That is our next step. We were in the process of doing that when things happened, and so we said, why don't we pause, regroup, make this presentation, find out what the temperature is of the town and where we want to move forward with this. And our next steps is then to get we were about to be launching our focus groups and getting the meat of it together, and when we put it on hold.
The only comment I have on this whole this conversation is that I love it. I mean, if this is how if your vehicle is how we're getting to a better understanding of an important and sizable portion of our population, then that's great. It's important. And I want to caution. It's a conversation that has to take place. I think anytime we put forth results from something, to understand collectively that it goes into it with that there's an expectation that we could do something, but there's also an expectation that we might not do something because we can't do something. And that's my concern now. And why I say that is because being through a couple of budget processes previously where we endorse the good work of good groups, they're subliminate or there was an understanding that started to develop that we would then continue to champion, which we will, but then we would monetarily support those organizations. And that's something we have to be very careful about. So I just want, I ask that as you are working together with your team and your cohorts you're speaking with, that just understand that we want the best intentions to act where we can, but it's not a tacit approval that because we've stamped it, we're actually going to do something. And
we're very aware as a commission that although we're driving this, it is out of our scope to implement any of this, and we're very aware of that. So our scope would then be presenting the information, but we also know that we're then putting it on others' shoulders to implement if possible, because there are some things some things that we recognize within the domains that are even out of your realm of control. Transportation within the town often is governed by, the state, and, we have state roads, and we are very aware of that. And so, although it may be one of the domains, when we dig deeper, is we understand what is within our control to change or present to effect and what is not.
Yeah, I think any of this sort of information and what the focus group show us will be beneficial. It's always great to gain our insight into what the residents are thinking. When you said, 79% were females who filled out the survey, will you be taking any sort of initiatives or steps to try and diversify that out a little more to...
We could strive with that within the focus groups as well, because when we are gathering the participants for the focus groups, we are trying to be as diversified as possible amongst areas of town, amongst age groups from 50 and above, across genders, across socioeconomic levels, within the ability that we have to do so. But we are trying to make sure that it is as diverse as possible, that we get a broader, it's not a focus group that's so focused in one particular bubble that will skew our results.
And it's only 71%.
Oh, there are a lot of numbers.
Yes.
Thank you, though.
And those of us 50 to 60 who are like, what do you mean the survey's for me?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most enlightening things is that when you say you're doing a survey of seniors, that's such a big population now that you kind of have younger seniors that are in their 50s and 60s that are like, well, that's not me, that's my mom, right? Because they're thinking 70s and 80s, but AARP
50 and
says
above.
50 and up, so.
And I do want to recognize Amber Abule, who is our Board of Selectmen liaison, who was instrumental in getting the survey pushed out, as well as gathering a lot of the information and coordinating the data. It was a lot of information, so we do want to thank you, Amber, for your hard work on this, and we really appreciate it.
Well, and thank you too, because it has been a very big commitment that you've put lots and lots of time in over this whole last year. So it's been a big undertaking.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'd like to thank the whole working group of
Yes.
the
Yes.
Aging and
Thank you.
Disability Commission,
Yes.
because they worked very hard on the questionnaire. Especially Mike Jennings worked
Yes.
very hard at the end. Kathy Marshall also was there, and Diana. So thank you, and me.
Did you want it? Okay.
I know we're
Any
taking a
other
lot of time,
questions?
sorry.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
are we telling the folks to move forward then?
I think with the
that what
focus
she's-
group part, I think that would be, and then perhaps in the fall
wanna be
you could
clear.
come back and we could debrief on focus groups and
Okay.
talk about what next steps would look like.
Great. Perfect.
Super.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yes,
We really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is we have a proclamation for Bike Month. May is Bike Month, and Simsbury is a silver level, that's hard to say, recognized bicycle-friendly community. I would like to move, effective May 8th, 2023, that we adopt the proclamation for Bike Awareness Month as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, I would like to have us read the proclamation.
I heard Eric made the motion.
All right, I'll kick us off.
Why don't you start off?
Whereas millions of Americans engage in bicycling as an environmentally sound form of transportation, an excellent form of fitness, and a quality family recreation activity. And in Simsbury offers a great way to enjoy our scenic community and surrounding landscape. Yeah.
Whereas Simsbury led the state as Connecticut's first bicycle-friendly community, and bicycle-friendly communities have been shown to improve health and quality of life for residents by making our town attractive to businesses and citizens who enjoy safe outdoor recreation that offer sustainable transportation while contributing to economic development. And
Whereas the Simsbury Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, Simsbury Public Schools, Simsbury Culture, Parks and Recreation, Simsbury Police Department, Simsbury Public Library, and various companies and civic groups will be promoting bicycling during the month of May 2023, and
Whereas these groups offer many contributions to Bike Month as they help promote tourism and advocate for greater public awareness of bicycle safety in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities while improving the health and safety of everyone on our roads and multi-use trails.
Whereas we recognize that investing in bicycle-friendly activities, safety, and our multi-use trails is a good public policy that helps connect us to our neighboring towns so others get to know Simsbury while continuing to build on our great community spirit. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Simsbury Board of Selectmen hereby proclaims the month of May 2023 as Bike Month in beautiful and silver-level bicycle-friendly Simsbury, Connecticut. And we urge all of you to get your helmets on and start pedaling. And I know we have Deb here from our bicycle community. Deb, would you like to say a few words? And anybody else that would like to join? Deb, go right ahead, please.
please.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. Well, there you go.
Hello, I'm Debbie Thibodeau, and this is Diana Moody and David Westcott and Sharon Byron. And we are citizen volunteers on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We'd like to thank you for inviting us here today in recognition of National Bike Month. Bike Month is a time to celebrate all the reasons we ride for fun and fitness, transportation and health, and all the ways biking makes our community stronger. I think the proclamation went through many of the reasons why we celebrate Bike Month. So what I'd like to do today is just review some of the activities and events that are happening in Simsbury for Bike Month, and also mention some award recipients that are related to biking and some safety reminders. May is Bike to the Simsbury Public Library Month. Check out their book displays, resources, and for those who bike, be sure to stop into the children's room and add a bike to their bulletin board. Bike Walk to School Days start this week. Latimer Lane on Friday, the 12th. Tooten Hills on Tuesday, May 16th, and Squadron Line on June 5th. And as you know, those are very popular for anyone driving in the area of the schools at time of in the morning when school's starting. Please be careful of all the children on bikes and walking. Adult and children mountain biking classes are being offered through Simsbury Culture Parks and Rec with sessions in May and throughout the summer, and that's for adults and kids. Bike safety education classes are taking place in Simsbury Public Schools, PE classes in grades 4, and for the first time at Henry James for grades 7 and 8, and we are very proud to be including the middle school now in the bike education program. Valley Cycling is hosting a Cystic Fibrosis Cycle for Life charity ride with 3 ride options, including a shorter rail trail ride starting this Saturday, May 13th. National Bike to Work Day is May 19th. The Board of Selectmen Community Ride, I think, is being scheduled. I don't know that we have
Gonna ask.
I don't know that we have a date yet. I think we're working on that. It sounds like it may be at the end of the month.
Maybe.
It may be May 30th.
Maybe. I heard there may be ice cream. Maybe.
There's been talk of that.
I've heard such talk.
There should be ice cream.
Well, in past years, that is a community ride. It's usually up and down the rail trail about 5 miles, and everyone is welcome. Farmington Valley Youth Cycling is our local youth cycling club, and they're preparing and fundraising for their annual Breakaway Benefit Cycling Festival. It is not here in town. It's June 3rd in Bolton, but they are a tremendous asset for our community and have really impacted a lot of kids' lives. So they would love support for anyone who would like to support them. Our next Bike Ped advocates meeting, so for local citizens and advocates, will be Thursday, June 15th from 5 to 7 at the Redstone Pub. We invite anyone who's interested in helping to make Simsbury more walkable and bikeable. Please join us. Information about any of these events, we have lots of safety resources, how to connect with the club, on and on, is on our website at simsbury.bike. I have some award announcements. The Bike Ped Committee invites you to join us in congratulating the following award recipients. Simsbury Public Library recently received the Connecticut Library Association Excellence in Public Library Service Award. I hope I got that right. In recognition of their bike-friendly initiatives, including their book bike, Bike-Friendly Business Award, and many bike-themed events. And so they received that this week. Last week. That was very exciting. Mitchell Auto Group just received their Bike Friendly Business Award at the gold level. That's a renewal application. And the Granby Simsbury Chamber of Commerce just received their first Bicycle Friendly Business Award at the bronze level. So that's very exciting. So congratulations to all the award winners. In thinking about safety as the weather warms, it's important to remember that bicyclists, pedestrians, and motorists must share our roadways and our trails. We ask everyone to be patient and courteous and safe. For information on sharing the road as motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians, go to the Simsbury Police Department website under the Bicycle Pedestrian tab or the simsbury.bike website, and there are many resources on bike safety and sharing the road. This May, we hope you will join us and ride a bike.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you for everything you do. And I'd like to, if you'd like to get your proclamation, I can
Thank you.
give that to you. Thank you. Thanks, all of you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, the first selectman's report, I think, will be sent out via email later. And so I will turn it over at this time to our interim town manager's report, if we have one, Chief.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I apologize for all the coughing. The allergies have been affecting me quite a bit. As we enter the end of the federal pandemic emergency designation, tonight will be the final coronavirus update shared by the town manager's report. The state's municipal COVID alert system has not been updated for Simsbury for the period ending on April 30th. 5 weeks ago, we had a total of 5 cases. We also had a positivity rate of 4.12%. As a reminder, this data does not include positive test results from at-home test kits. In Hartford County, community levels of transmission are low, as determined by the CDC. At this time, there are no counties in Connecticut considered to be high according to the CDC community levels categorization. And more information can be obtained on the CDC community levels of transmission site. The federal government is again offering free COVID test kits, and each household is eligible to order 4 kits. You can order that at covid.gov/tests. Let's see. On April 25th, 2023, the Simsbury Food Pantry made an announcement via social media of their current needs and encouraged residents and businesses to start a food drive. The announcement can be seen On our website, our office shared this announcement on the Town of Simsbury Facebook and Twitter pages. Current highly needed items include oatmeal, coffee, tea, canned meals, pasta sauce, granola bars, crackers, tuna, canned chicken, and more. Items can be dropped off at 7 Westcott Road, and questions can be directed to Rachel Loveland at rloveland@simsbury-ct.gov. For social services, a big thank you goes out to Tom Meek and his team of tax preparers for generously volunteering their talents and time this tax season. Tom and his team of 6 volunteers helped 216 taxpayers. 184 were from Simsbury, filed 2020 tax returns at no charge to the residents. 84% of those assisted were 60 years or older, and 125 people were able to get a refund on their taxes. Many thanks to the Senior Center and library staff for their assistance in supporting this program. At the Connecticut Library Association annual conference last week in Mystic, Simsbury Public Library was awarded the Connecticut Library Association Excellence in Public Library Service Award for its 10-year commitment to bicycling as a town initiative, a form of sustainable transportation, and its 2022 recognition as a silver-level bike-friendly business by the League of American Bicyclists, the first library in Connecticut to receive this distinction. Accepting this award were Library Director Lisa Kareem, Head of Borrowing and Technical Services Rachel Gravel, who engaged with over 3,500 people on the library's book bike last season, and Simsbury Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee member Debbie Thibodeau, who was instrumental in helping the library receive its bicycle-friendly status. This is the 4th time in 10 years that the Simsbury Public Library has received the CLA Excellence in Public Library Service Award. Public Works will be hosting a Touch-A Truck on Saturday, May 20th, 2023, and an open house at the facility on Town Forest Road. Kids will be able to get an up-close look at the town's trucks, and families can learn about our Public Works Department. We will have giveaways for the kids and guided tours of the facility. Participants are encouraged to bring a non-perishable food item to fill a truck for the food bank. This event is for all ages and will be held rain or shine. The Simsbury Public Works Department will be hosting a household hazardous waste collection at the same facility at 66 Town Forest Road on Saturday, June 10th, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Participants should access Town Forest Road from Stratton Brook Road to keep the line orderly. This event is run in conjunction with the towns of Avon, Canton, Farmington, Granby, and Suffield. Residents will be able to dispose of their qualifying items at no cost by providing proof of residency upon arrival. These collections are for items that cannot go into the regular trash, keeping hazardous materials away from being deposited into our landfills. Residents can find more information on which items would be acceptable by visiting the Simsbury website. The police department hosted the 20th annual Citizen Police Academy and graduated 12 attendees last week. The 10-week program allows members of the public to learn about the purpose and function of our police department and provides opportunities for the public and members of the police to interact. If you have not attended one of our academies, I highly recommend it. And the police department will be hosting the annual Junior Police Academy July 31st through August 4th. The academy provides children of Simsbury 5th grade to 8th grade the opportunity to experience hands-on methods and techniques in the profession of law enforcement. Throughout this academy, respect, discipline, integrity, equity, quality, education, and physical fitness will be stressed. Attendees will also gain an understanding of the community responsibility, problem solving, and role of the public servant. Please visit the police department website for more information and an application. And then one last thing, last week was Municipal Clerk Appreciation Week, and this week is National Public Works Week. The clerk's office is responsible for safekeeping town records, processing various administrative aspects of local government, and they're the frontline customer service for the town. Public Works connects all of us through infrastructure and service and plays a significant role in emergency management, stability, and our continuity. These two departments continuously strive to improve service and the quality of life in our community and are led and staffed by highly dedicated professionals who take pride in their quality of service. And that's my report.
Great, thank you. I would open it up now to any other selectmen liaison reports. Heather?
I do have something.
Go ahead.
For economic development, I have from the Main Street Partnership. The Simsbury Main Street Partnership assisted ISCC with their amazing fundraiser for cancer with Scott Hamilton. It was a sold-out show, raising $50,000 for research, and they've already committed for next year. The Main Street Partnership turned out many restaurant owners to discuss their stance on the mobile food truck draft by the Zoning Commission. Town staff is now working on an updated draft to the commission based on that feedback. They're also working with the Lion's Den on a beer wine permit, and they're working with the Riverview on their new outdoor sign. The Main Street Partnership, along with Senator Seminara, Representative Osborne, and First Select Woman Max Studis, celebrated Knicker Toyland's 75th anniversary on Saturday. So that's from the Main Street Partnership.
Great, thank you. Sean, you good?
This Wednesday, the DEI Council is hosting a Simsbury Community Housing Forum. It's at Henry James from 5:30 to 8:30. Dinner's included. You must register to sign up, and you can do that. Probably the easiest way is to go to the DEI Council's Facebook page. They got a link right there. It's really an opportunity. It's not talking about any specific development, but it's an opportunity for us as a community to say, what do we want affordable housing to be, for us to take control of really the narrative, to say, what is it that we want here? And then to be able to go out proactively and seek that. Otherwise, whether it's economic development or affordable housing, it will happen to you unless you control the narrative. And this is really the beginning of that formal conversation about what does that look like here?
Thank you.
Eric, I one thing with that, I'm so sorry. I think it's important to know also with that housing meeting on Wednesday, that it's not a stop in, stop out. I believe people will be assigned tables, so it is expected to commit for the entire session. I just wanted to clarify.
Thanks for making that point.
I would just like to say thank you to our Public Works Department and our Parks and Rec Department and our town staff for coming together and making our townwide cleanup day a big success. We did that on Earth Day, and we had lots of groups that came. Also, the Farmington Valley Trails Council again partnered with us, and Payne's graciously donated dumpster and recycling bins. I don't know, Tom, if we know how much trash we had.
We basically had a half full dumpster by the end of the day, which isn't bad.
Yeah, it was great. So thank you for that. So let's move on to Selectmen action items. So as we do every meeting, we have our tax refund requests. I would take a motion to move effective May 8th, 2023, to approve the presented tax refunds in the amount of $1,939.68, and to authorize interim town manager Nicholas J. Bolter to execute the tax refunds.
Move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes. Our next agenda item is to approve Simsbury Community and Social Services application for a basic human needs grant through the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving in the amount of $6,000. These funds would be used to purchase fresh produce for distribution at our monthly Cheese Day program at the food pantry. Currently, this program is serving on average about 80 households a month. If the grant is awarded, the amount would be $6,000.
Is there a local match?
There is no match. Tom, I believe that is correct, right? There is no match to this program.
Correct.
Right.
Thanks.
So I would take a motion to move effective May 8th, 2023, to submit a grant application and to authorize the interim town manager to execute the grant application. And in the event that the grant is awarded, the following motion would be in order to move to accept the grant and authorize the interim town manager to execute all documents related to the grant award.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? The motion carries. Our next agenda item is a grant application to the Connecticut Humanities Grant Funding Priorities that is for the library, and we have our library director here. Lisa, did you want to speak at all to this grant application?
I can very quickly, if you'd like.
Sure. And we actually have two. So this one is the one from Connecticut Humanities to support the Simsbury History and Culinary Storytelling Program, which sounds amazing. So
This is actually for a program that's sort of over and above the kind of programs that we usually do. So we're going out for grant funding and leveraging our operating programming funding. It will focus on the 4 restaurants in Simsbury that are in historic buildings. So Metro Beast, Abigail's, Millwright, and the 1820 House. We have a commitment from Chef Prosperi at Metro Beast and help me out here, Chris. I have Chris Carney here with me, and
Tyler Anderson.
Tyler Anderson from Millwrights to also come speak on the panel. We have a tentative commitment from Connecticut Public's seasoned podcast crew with Chef Plum to moderate and record the program at the library. So. The total amount of the grant is $2,770, but there is a 1-to-1 match. So the grant from Connecticut Humanities will be $1,385, and the library contribution, which is already allocated program funding, will be $1,385, should we be awarded the grant.
great.
Sounds pretty neat.
Yeah.
I know. It sounds amazing. Okay.
Hungry right now.
I know. So I would take a motion effective May 8th, 2023 to authorize the library to submit a grant application to Connecticut Humanities for $1,385 to support Simsbury history and culinary storytelling, and to authorize interim town manager Nicholas J. Bolter to execute the grant application. And in the event that the grant is awarded, the following motion would be in order: to move to accept the grant and to authorize the interim town manager to execute all documents related to the grant award.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none. The motion carries. I can't wait for this program. Okay, our next agenda item is another grant application related to the library, which is for a creative aging arts education pilot program. And again, I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Sure, this would be funded through the Connecticut State Library. It's actually a combination of partnerships between the Lifetime Arts Association, the Connecticut Office for the Arts, and the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development for an experiential, hands-on arts project and program pilot opportunity for 10 libraries within the state. We are looking at partnering with another neighboring library to do this opportunity, and it really is a play off on our AARP Livable Communities project grant that we're doing right now with our memory cafes that serve seniors with memory issues and their caregivers. So we're hoping to become part of this pilot cohort, and it would offer $2,500 for the first year. And should we prove successful, we would have to then commit between $1,000 and $2,000 in subsequent years to fund the artists to come be part of the project. And we would use our operating funds or Friends Fund to fund that. I think it's a really great opportunity for us because it has synergy with all of the other projects we're doing with the seniors.
Yeah, really love that.
Very cool.
Yes. All right, so hearing no questions, I would take a motion to move effective May 8th, 2023 to authorize the library to submit a grant application to the Connecticut State Library for $2,500 for the library to participate in the Creative Aging Arts Education Pilot Program, and to authorize interim town manager Nicholas J. Bolter to execute the grant application. And in the event the grant is awarded, the following additional motion would be to move to accept the grant and to authorize the interim town manager to execute all documents related to the grant award.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa. All right, the next item on our agenda is another grant opportunity related, an application to the Department of Justice for the COPS hiring program. And I'm going to turn this one over to our expert in the area to talk a little bit about this program.
Okay, thank you. So this actually came onto our radar not too long ago. But what it is it's a grant opportunity to fund future sworn members. So nothing that we have now, but it's designed to hire, to help support communities who need to hire more police officers or rehire that were once dismissed or laid off. How it works is it would roughly provide us $41,000 to go towards the salary and benefits of a new officer for a 3-year period. And we would be responsible for the rest of that. And what we did is we decided, well, let's put in for 2 of these. There's no commitment on our end. We haven't authorized the hiring of 2 officers. We're not moving forward with any of that. We're just looking to apply for this and then down the road see if we are granted this. It's a competitive program based on need, so I have no idea if we would be approved for this or not. We may find out as early as July, we may find out in September, and then figure out that funding process. If we are accepted or awarded this grant, either for 1 or for 2 officers, then we would go through that process of whether there's a commitment from the town on hiring in the future, and we can defer it as far as the next fiscal year.
Okay, so we could do it through the budget process as we always
Absolutely,
would.
yeah.
Okay.
Can we not apply it to the officer we just approved?
We cannot.
No.
Yeah, that makes me uncomfortable, because now we're preemptively agreeing to staff up, because there's no way a future board's they're essentially committed to that funding, because we're gonna dangle the grant in front of them and say we're gonna cost this much money. I'm uncomfortable with this one, Steve.
It's Sean. Is it sort of the scenario where we found ourselves with not that I don't support it, but I'm trying to follow the thread potentially of where we found with the 2-year interim social service.
Yeah, we're gonna have a possible decision.
where that rolled into the assumption that we're going to continue this because of the good work that person did. You can't unwind
The
yourself
money's
from
gone,
it.
so we either have to
Yeah.
lay 2 people off next year or have it paid for out of the general fund. Yeah,
I'm not looking at this as a 3-year pilot experiment. I mean, I think that if
don't disagree, but we're committing future boards to hiring police officers. Otherwise, we get blacklisted from the grant if we don't accept it. Right? Because if you turn down grants, aren't you blacklisted?
Chief, I mean, I don't know.
I would not assume that this is that. I mean, it's a highly competitive grant. I don't know if we even have a remote chance of being accepted by it. I don't think this is, it's a $300 billion grant for the country. So I don't think there would be any consideration for blacklisting for this as opposed to maybe like a local grant process.
Yeah, I mean, at the state, if we turn down the grant or mess it up, we get blacklisted, right? I mean, that's generally what happens.
I
from what
think
right?
I think that could happen. Yeah, I don't see that happening with this. It's a much larger grant, it's a much larger process. I see this as an opportunity just to apply for it and then a decision to be made down the line if we need this funding. It's not a short-term pilot commitment. It's definitely intended for a long term.
No, understood, but what I don't want is to send a message that we're committing $500,000, which is the financial impact if this happens.
Yeah,
For the
I
taxpayer.
understand.
Well, 1, we have no ability to do that here, and 2, if the motion can include that we in no way are constraining future boards, right? Because memories get short, people change, et cetera.
Yeah.
Police commissioners come upstairs and tell stories.
In my mind, this only makes sense if we were going to hire another police officer anyway, based on the staffing study and
I mean, I
based
would
on
love it.
all of our other
I would love the money.
priorities.
I don't want in
Yeah.
any way to constrain future boards that we have
Sure.
to do this.
Absolutely.
Because that's a big, $500,000 is a big commitment, right?
Because if we are granted it, we're going to implement it. We're going to we're going to we're going to accept it and enter to the program.
Oh, that'll be a future board to decide. That's my point.
I'm just saying you don't do it unless you expect it to do it,
That's
right?
my point.
Yeah.
It sounds
Can
good.
we play that game for a second?
It sounds good until we
Okay,
have to
so
commit $500,000.
so let's play that game for a second, and then your audit. So then you've hired ostensibly someone, right? And you're not likely to not when the 3 years is up, when the deductible is no longer there, you're going to assume the liability
Right.
for future. So
I mean, I guess in my mind, if it seems more likely than not that we would be looking at continuing to staff, that we have staffing needs in that department, as which the survey showed us. So if you have an opportunity, you were going to incur some of those costs anyway, and this is grant money to help offset that.
there's no doubt. I think there's no doubt, and if
I
that
get
happens in
what
the
you're-
very near term, but if potentially this, after everything is done, shakes out paperwork, you find the person, if it doesn't come online, say until 10 years from now, I'd say if it doesn't come into some point in the future where our town hasn't exponentially grown to the point where we're going to need that additional staffing, we may be staffed at that time. So just
articulate the concern. So I support staffing up the police department. What I'm
course.
concerned about
Yes.
is next February, we're gonna sit here and let's say we get the grant, which is a great problem to have, and we're gonna get to defer
Then it makes-
$80,000, we're gonna get to defer $80,000, but then we gotta decide, are we sending 2 social workers home? Are we hiring Tom's truck driver? Are we hiring a maintainer? And we're gonna have the 7-position discussion.
Right.
So this is not a done deal, even if we get it.
I don't know.
We still have to have that
Right.
ranking argument,
Yeah.
whatever board sits here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
agree.
point.
I think this is just giving us a temporary expense reduction should we decide to hire another police
I
officer.
agree, but I've been around long enough to say, God, why can't we do this? We got 40,000. We have to do it, guys.
Once it's
Come
there,
on. That's exactly whoever sits in these chairs will say that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine.
Let's put it in
I'll support
something
it.
in the motion that clarifies that we're
No,
not committing it.
I think I've droned on enough that
All
the
right.
tape says what the intent is, but
yeah, same here.
We did have this opportunity and we took it, and I don't know the particulars, but it was the same grant in around 2001. And that was to implement our first SRO.
Oh,
So we won that to a certain extent,
Yeah.
right? We won a grant.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were given the award and we hired,
Yeah.
and it was the same thing. This is a very common structured grant. It's for 3 years. They're asking for a commitment. And that was the same thing then. So we hired another officer that put, at the time, Officer Fred Sifodaskalakis into the school system, and our numbers increased by 1.
of course it was him.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll tell you the civil story after. Involved me backing into a tree.
Okay.
All right.
on that note, why don't you read?
Right. Why don't we? Yes. Okay. Move effective May 8th, 2023 to authorize the police department to apply to the Department of Justice COPS office for the 2023 COPS hiring program in the amount of up to $125,000 over a 3-year funding period to help cover the salary and benefit costs for each new officer hired in support of increasing our community policing capacity and crime prevention efforts and service to the community.
Move that.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, our next item is an action taking up issuing a blanket waiver for alcohol permits for the Department of Culture, Parks, and Rec for events at the Apple Barn. I don't think Tom Tyberski is here to speak about that, but we have talked about this before. This has to do with the Culture, Parks, and Rec Department has had some very successful what they call paint and sip nights, where you go to the Apple Barn and it's BYOB. There is no alcohol for sale there, but you can bring a bottle of wine with you and you paint a painting, and it's for guests that are over 21 years old. And according to the current policy that we have in place, every time Culture, Parks, and Rec would want to run that program, they would need to come to us to get an approval. So after having a couple of these successful programs, we raised the issue of could we issue a blanket permit for Culture, Parks, and Rec to be able to run these programs without having to come back and ask for our permission every time. And so that is what this motion is about. Also, if any outside group were to rent the Apple Barn and want to have any event with alcohol, they would still need to come and get permission. This is only for our own
Department's
staff
own events.
to be running these events, which they have been running and have been successful, and they would like to continue to run them.
So I support this, but I would just recommend that we sunset it on December 4th, which would align with the end of our term and the start of the new board. And then the new board can take this up and renew it if they see fit.
I mean, I go along with that. I think the new board could rescind it at any time if they wanted to. And I think
I mean,
this,
because, oh, go ahead,
this
Eric.
one's unlikely to be controversial. I don't know, what were your thoughts on having the new board take it up,
I'm
Sean?
just not a fan of constraining future boards. But, I mean, you're right. We can withdraw if we want. Either way,
I'll support either one.
it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not going to fight over it. I'm fine with the events.
Okay.
I mean, I am open to an amendment to sunset it. Then they would just have to remember to tee it up again.
So let's just go the rescission route because nobody's going to remember.
Right. Okay. So we'll move effective May 8th, 2023 to issue a blanket waiver alcohol permit for the legal possession and use of alcohol for all future Simsbury Department of Culture, Parks and Recreation, quote, adult recreation program and SIP, unquote, events at the Apple Barn.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? The motion carries. And our next item on the agenda is regarding an easement for a very small, about quarter of an acre part of open space that is between the town and the Tobacco Valley Solar, and for outdoor classrooms that Squadron Line has been using some of that property. And this would be a referral to the Planning Commission of the easement agreement. And I see George is here. I don't know, George, do you have anything to add about this?
I don't really have anything additional to offer. I don't know anything about the deal points on the easement. It's just because it's an easement, so it's use of the property. It requires review under 8-24, which is Planning Commission's job to find that it's consistent with your plans and policies for community facilities.
Right. And my understanding, the background on this, which I believe has come up before our board before, was that students at Squadron Line were walking across the street and using a small portion of this property for some outside classrooms. And this easement agreement just formalizes and gives us permission to use the property for that purpose. And our town attorney, Mr. DiCrescenzo, has reviewed the easement agreement, and now they are suggesting that we refer it to the Planning Commission for their review under statute. So I would take a motion to move effective May 8th, 2023 to refer the easement agreement between the town and Tobacco Valley Solar for the use of 0.24 acres of open space for an outdoor classroom and other school activities to the Planning Commission for review and report under Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Move that.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? So the motion passes, and this easement will be referred to the Planning Commission for their review. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is we have an opportunity to apply for, it's not a grant, it's for a program, the Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, and this is through the Department of Revenue Services, And we are applying for 2 different programs. One would be related to the food pantry, and that would be providing the food pantry with additional funding. And then the Simsbury Grange is also seeking funding regarding energy efficiency and improvement projects that are being made to the Grange building. This program was open to various nonprofits, and this was advertised, and nonprofits or other programs could decide whether or not they wanted to apply to be a part of this program. And these were the 2 applicants that came forward, which was the food pantry and the Grange. So what the next step in this process would be to we're required to hold a public hearing regarding these proposals, and that would be held at our next regular Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday, May 22nd. So our action tonight would be to just set the public hearing, and I believe we would be able to have the program directors come and explain the proposal and receive any further public comment we would have on this. So if there are no further questions, I will move effective May 8th, 2023 to set a public hearing to receive public comment on the proposal submitted by the Simsbury Department of Community and Social Services and Simsbury Grange pursuant to the 2023 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act for 6 p.m. on Monday, May 22nd, 2023.
Move that.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes. So we moved item I up, and now we have our item J, which had been added. And that is a grant that is related to community farms. And Tom Roy's here to fill us in on the details of this.
Yeah, first off, sorry this came in so late. As sometimes happens, we just became aware of this grant very recently. It also times out well with the fact that Gifts of Love is in the process of vacating their lease with the community farm. We've recently entered into an agreement with the Connecticut Department of Agriculture where they're going to help us coordinate small incubator farmers that are going to farm the land for this coming year. Makes us really well positioned for this grant. Sadly, there is a lot of work that needs to be done up at the community farm. I've been up there quite a bit over the last few weeks. All of the hoop houses, the plastic, the doors, all of that type of stuff is just, has not stood the test of time. That all needs to be replaced. The barns, the chicken coop, all of the smaller structures need some carpentry work. The bathrooms, unfortunately, were not maintained properly and pipes froze, and we have some plumbing work to be done up there. The good news is this grant is, we're eligible up to just under $50,000. We have about $30,000 worth of projects identified that fit well for this grant. We've also had very positive conversations with the folks at the Department of Agriculture, and they will take the 40% match. They are willing to consider the fact that we are leasing the farmers the plots of land for, I believe, it's $1 a year. So they're going to take into account the actual value of that farmland and apply it towards our match portion. And then we also have the ability to use some of our in-kind labor and the fact that we had already allocated some funds for use at the community farm this year. So coming up with the $12,000 match should be pretty easy without coming back for any additional funding.
That would be great.
And the other challenge is it's due Friday. So a lot of work this week.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for finding this one.
Yes, this would be great. Okay, so I would take a motion to move effective May 8, 2023 to authorize submission to Connecticut Department of Agriculture under the 2023 Agriculture Farm Viability Grant to fund repairs to the town-owned community farm at 73 Wolcott Road.
Move that.
Second? Oh, Heather.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Should you do the wording for the move to, like, in the event the grant doesn't?
Oh, that would, I
Such a
can.
stickler for the
I
rules.
guess
There you go.
it's, I guess it wasn't,
I move
rewritten out for me.
that the interim town manager
Manager.
accept the grant should the grant be awarded.
Second.
Do you want me to take it from here? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right. Okay, so that is the end of our selectmen action items. Now we have some resignations from our boards and commissions. One is Bob Crowther, who has served as a member of our Economic Development Commission for several years. And then also Richard Dick Ostap, who has been a longtime member of our Public Building Committee and Hartford Area Cable Television Advisory Council.
Yeah, I just want to, if it's okay, say a few
Sure.
quick words about both of those gentlemen. Bob was part of the Charter Revision Commission when the new EDC was created, and Bob also interviewed to be on the EDC and figured that it was only fair that if he was going to create this thing, that he would also help to lead it. And I really appreciate his leadership on EDC over the past 4+ years. Mr. Ostap, he has served, from my understanding, on Public Building Committee literally longer than I've been alive. And it's, again, I'm amazed by the dedication of the people who serve our town, the hours and decades of volunteerism that go into making Simsbury what it is. And if you look at any major building project in the last 4 decades, Dick Ostap had his fingerprints on that. And I want to thank him for his years of service.
Well said.
All right.
Thank you.
So we will move retroactive to May 1, 2023 to accept the resignation of Robert K. Crowther as a regular member of the Economic Development Commission. Move retroactive to April 20th, 2023 to accept the resignation of Richard Ostap as regular member of the Hartford Area Cable Television Advisory Council. And move retroactive to April 30th, 2023 to accept the resignation of Richard Ostap as a regular member of the Public Building Committee.
Move that with thanks.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? And the motions carry. We have our minutes attached, which were from our regular meeting on April 17th, 2023, and a special virtual meeting that we held on April 24th, 2023. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes? Hearing none. We also have in our packet communications regarding public gathering permits that were approved as matter of administrative matters that do not require our special approval. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move us into executive session.
So I move that we go into executive session to discuss the March 2023 memo we received from the town's Labor Council pertaining to transitional issues related to the town manager and any related investigations pursuant to the Board of Selectmen's authority under the charter. And we would be taking Attorney Mike Harrington with us.
All right, so now we are in executive
So
session.
moved.
Oh, so, yeah, sorry. Move,
I'll
second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.